Hi, my name is Tim Musso, and I am a speaker and educator with Canvas Speak. I'm also a male survivor of sexual assault. And so, for the last 9 years, I have worked with almost 400 colleges across the country and helping support their initiatives and missions in sexual violence prevention. I know a frequent topic that comes up every fall is the red zone. The red zone refers to the first 6 to 10 weeks of the fall semester, where it's estimated that 50% of campus sexual assaults occur. Now, in preventing the red zone, it's important that we think about education and training and support for our student populations. But I know this year things are different. The COVID-19 virus has changed things, and as our students are still grappling with the pandemic, as we're still grappling with the pandemic as a whole, it's going to influence the red zone this year, sometimes in alarming ways. Now, there's really three main ways that I see this happening. First, I think that there's going to be lingering impacts of trauma. So some of our students might still be processing trauma from the loss of a loved one, a family member, a community member, a mentor, a peer. Some of our students are also dealing with trauma from economic uncertainty or fear, or some of those type of pieces. Now, I think that trauma has the potential to manifest, and it can compound if our students are dealing with sexual violence, whether it's an incident they're involving themselves as the primary survivor, or whether they're supporting someone else and they're a secondary survivor. Now, I also think that some of that trauma might be a loss of self. Many of us, especially our students, lost opportunities and chances and routines and traditions. Things like graduation or prom or those social functions or even just seeing friends for holidays or family for holidays. That's very difficult. And I think many of our students are still mourning that loss of that self and those things that they've been looking forward to oftentimes, whether it's new or returning students. With that, I see sometimes an increase in willingness to engage in and make use of and attend social functions right now as a way of kind of retaking what was lost. So I think many of our students want to be social and they want to host or be at events. Now, with that, we just have to be mindful of the fact that that might introduce a higher level of consumption for alcohol and other drugs, tools that are often used in predatory behaviors. And it's going to potentially create some power imbalances. Individuals who have access to facilities or the opportunity to throw those events, it's going to create this power imbalance that's going to influence how our students are practicing consent. Now, the second thing I see that's novel this year is the lack of training. I know we were all zoomed out. Like at a certain point in the pandemic, everyone just got tired of being on their screen all the time. And I think a lot of our students, for many of them, their institutions, whether it was high schools or colleges, there was this kind of decision of, do we educate around our curriculum or do we provide supplemental training? And I think a lot of people had to just go towards their curriculum. So I think a lot of our students may be missing some of the trainings that they're used to. They may not have all the information around things like consent or bystander intervention or all of those practices. And so I think it's really something that we have to be careful of what type of training we're offering. I know a lot of campuses offer kind of an online training through an LMS or an outside partner, and I'm worried that people might be burnt out even with that because it's more online training. So we have to be very careful of understanding the burnout and fatigue, as well as the gaps in knowledge our students might have. And then the last one is social distancing policies. I know that social distancing policies are a little less than they were in the spring, but I'm sure that as things continue, we don't necessarily know where they're going to be. The alarming thing for me, and I saw this a lot in spring, is countless stories of students, groups, organizations, and informal gatherings where students wanted to be around each other in person and throw social events, and they were afraid of getting caught though, and so that impacts bystander intervention. I often worry about the fact that if our students are violating social distancing policies and know there's a punishment involved in that, that can cause some hesitancy about being an active bystander, engaging both in the moment or after the fact, and making use of reporting resources. And so these are really three main things that we have to be aware of. We need to make sure that we're, addressing these openly and honestly with ourselves and with our populations, because I do see these completely changing some of the ways that we're looking at the red zone and having a large influence in things that might occur this year during the red zone. So in the video below, also in the article below, I'm going to provide a few more resources and tips, things that I see relevant and potential opportunities to deal with and to combat the red zone.